When a single dad revealed his heartwarming offer, the CEO's paralyzed daughter's life-changing journey began. Jake had always been a fighter. As a veteran, he had faced battles that none could fathom, but nothing prepared him for the daily struggle of raising his spirited 10-year-old son, Timmy, in a small, tight-knit suburban town. Each morning began with the crisp sound of Timmy's laughter, his duct-taped inventions scattered across their humble home, adorned with remnants of Jake's military past. They were not just decorations. They were symbols of resilience, reminders of hope in a life filled with moments of uncertainty. On a sunny afternoon filled with promise, Jake and Timmy wandered through the local park, where laughter echoed and the smell of fresh-cut grass filled the air. But it was there, amidst the joyful chaos, that Jake spotted Samantha, the town CEO's paralyzed daughter, her wheelchair a stark contrast to the carefree energy around them. In her eyes, Jake saw a flicker of desperation, a desire for independence that mirrored his own struggles. Driven by compassion, Jake approached her with an idea. "What if we could create something to help you?" he proposed, imagining how Timmy's engineering dreams could fuse with Samantha's needs. But as he presented his plan to her father, the CEO dismissed him with a glare filled with disdain. "What can a blue-collar worker like you do for my daughter?" he scoffed, crushing Jake's heart. But Jake had seen too much to back down. With fire igniting inside him, he insisted on his worth, even when the CEO finally scribbled his signature with a reluctant glare. The contract sparked a whirlwind of conversation throughout the community. Suddenly, the people who once viewed Jake with skepticism began to rally behind him. A spirit ignited, the classic American tale of a fighter clawing for hope resonating through the townsfolk. But with each passing day, doubt crept in. Skeptical whispers echoed around him. He felt the weight of ridicule hover just above his head. Then, during a learning session filled with laughter and frustration, something incredible happened. As Timmy and Samantha collaborated, her intelligence shone through. Each idea sparked by Timmy brought forth Samantha's technical genius, long buried beneath expectations and limitations. Their friendship flourished like wildflowers breaking through concrete, challenging their existing worlds. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Jake's determination transformed their project into a symbol of hope, an unshakable bond formed between families from different worlds. Yet, the CEO's anger simmered below the surface, his discontent threatening to dismantle everything Jake had fought for. Tension in the community peaked, hearts raced with fear and excitement. Could someone like Jake truly change someone's life? The stakes had never been higher, and as whispers of discontent began to swirl like a storm, Jake found himself standing at the edge of a precipice. What would happen next? Every piece of his heart screamed for success, but the shadows of privilege loomed larger than ever. Journey reached a critical turning point. Jake stood at the edge of the workshop, watching as Timmy and Samantha buzzed around their workspace like busy bees. Tools clanged as they experimented, laughter filling the air. It was a cathartic scene, one that steadied Jake's heart. Yet the ever-thickening tension loomed overhead like dark clouds. He knew the CEO wouldn't remain silent forever. The whispers in the community had not gone unnoticed. But still, seeing Samantha smile lightened the heaviness on his chest. "Can you pass me the wrench?" Samantha shouted over to Timmy, her determination igniting an energy in the room. "Here you go, and I've got this new idea for the wheels." Timmy's excitement was infectious. Jake couldn't help but smile at how both kids were thriving. They were challenging each other and overcoming their fears together. Wouldn't it be beautiful if the CEO could see this, really see their potential? Their prototype grew more intricate by the day, a bond crafted from friendship, struggle, and mutual belief. Their project was more than just a gadget. It was a testament to dreams unfurling against all odds. But as the days passed, Jake's hopes found themselves intertwined with a creeping fear, the moment when the cell might strike back. And then, Without warning, that moment came one bright afternoon. As they wrapped up another productive session, the CEO stormed into the workshop, face red with fury. "I won't let you ruin my daughter's life with your pathetic pipe dreams," he boomed, voice echoing off the walls, sending shivers down Jake's spine. Timmy and Samantha froze, eyes wide, unable to comprehend. Jake took a breath and stepped forward, heart racing. "Sir, we're trying to create something that will truly help." "Help?" The CEO interrupted, voice dripping with disdain. "You're a soldier turned handyman. What do you know about engineering? This is not a game." Jake's hands balled into fists, but he forced his voice to remain steady. "I may not have a degree, but I know the value of hard work and heart. That's something you can't measure." Samantha's expression shifted from shock to anger, and she looked her father in the eye. "Dad, this means something to me. I'm learning. I'm pushing boundaries." For a heartbeat, silence reigned, the tension palpable. The CEO's eyes darted between his daughter and Jake, the righteous anger in his expression wavering. Just like that, doubt clouded his judgment. But before he could respond, Jake sensed a sudden glimmer of hope rising inside him. "Samantha deserves a chance, just like anyone else." The words hung in the air, powerful. Yet Jake felt another wave of uncertainty crash down. Would it be enough to persuade the CEO? Would he finally see the potential they were unlocking? The CEO narrowed his eyes, considering. "You'll regret this, choosing to meddle in things you don't understand." As he turned to leave, determination bubbled within Jake, igniting a fire he thought had dimmed. "And if I do?" he challenged boldly. "What are you going to do? Keep your daughter locked away, afraid of what she can achieve?" The door slammed shut behind the CEO, leaving an echo of unresolved conflict that rang in Jake's ears. Turning to Samantha and Timmy, he saw the resolve in their eyes. Together, they would defy expectations. Together, they would show the world what they were capable of. But doubt lingered like a whisper in the background. What would the CEO do next? What sacrifices would they have to make to stand tall against the storm? As Jake pondered their next steps, deep down, he knew this fight was only just beginning. The outcome was uncertain, but he felt the stirring of courage against the tide of privilege. What would they confront next? Would courage be enough to turn the tide of fate? Jake paced the workshop, thoughts racing like a runaway train. The sensation of the CEO's stormy presence still thrummed in the air. Timmy and Samantha stood close, their youthful faces illuminated by the remnants of hope, but shadowed by uncertainty. "What do we do now?" Timmy finally broke the silence, his voice barely a whisper. Samantha took a deep breath. "We can't back down now. Dad might be mad, but we can't let him stop us." Her eyes sparkled with defiance. Jake admired her spirit. "Right," Jake said, nodding. "We push harder. We refine the prototype and make it even better. If we can show him results, maybe he'll listen." Timmy picked up the tools scattered across the table. "Let us start right now." Samantha grinned, and the momentary shadow faded as they shifted into action. Laughter and chatter returned as they worked. As Jake joined them in tinkering beneath the dim workshop light, he felt that familiar warmth build in his chest. Their shared energy transformed the fear into something palpable, a sense of purpose. Hours passed like the flip of a page in a gripping book. They recalibrated wheels, adjusted components, and brainstormed innovations. It became more than just a project. It was a bond manifesting in the flickers of each new idea, each minor victory. Just as the sun dipped behind the horizon, bathing everything in a vibrant orange, Jake stepped back to assess their progress. What began as a rough sketch had blossomed into a sleek, promising design. But their joy was abruptly pierced by the sound of tires crunching on gravel outside. The CEO was back. Panic surged through Jake's veins. "Quick, hide everything," he hissed, but it was too late. The door swung open, and the CEO marched in, face stormy again. "Learning by trial and error, huh?" he scoffed, glancing around the half-finished prototype with disdain. "All this frivolous nonsense is just a waste of time." Samantha stood up taller, her resolve igniting. "Dad, it's not nonsense. This could really help people who can't walk. That's a dream, not a reality," he shot back. His voice was cold, distant. Jake felt anger rise. But dreams can become reality if someone believes in them. Look at what they've done. He gestured towards the project, but the CEO wouldn't budge. "Enough," he thundered, face reddening. He took a step forward, his imposing figure casting a dark shadow over the workshop. What if Timmy interrupted, voice shaky but brave? What if we brought the prototype to the showcase next week? We can get real feedback and show you that it works. The CEO's jaw tightened, his eyes narrowing. You think a display at some fair is going to change my mind? Yes. Samantha cried, passion surging. It could change everything. I'll show you I can do this. It might even change the way you see me. You're scared for me, and I get it. But I need you to trust me. For a moment, the air crackled. Jake held his breath, waiting. The tension was thick enough to cut, and he could almost see the wheels turning in the CEO's mind. Trust is earned, Samantha. He turned to leave, but paused at the doorway. Fine. Show me what you can do, but if you fail. As the words hung in the air, Jake felt the weight of expectation shift. They had a chance, but it came with strings attached, each tied to the legacy of a father who just didn't understand. With the front door now closed, excitement and terror washed over them. They had an opportunity to prove themselves, but the stakes were high. Would they rise to the occasion, or would the CEO's doubt become a self-fulfilling prophecy? Tomorrow, they'd embark on the toughest leg of their journey. Jake's heart raced with the question lingering in his mind. Could they truly overcome the odds stacked against them? And more importantly, what would they discover about themselves along the way? The workshop buzzed with energy early the next morning. Jake stood at the workbench, tools scattered around him like pieces of a puzzle waiting to be solved. Timmy and Samantha arrived bright and early, their faces flushed with determination. Today would be the day they showed not only the CEO, but themselves what they were capable of. All right, team, Jake said, clapping his hands together. We need to finalize the prototype and prepare for the showcase. Any last-minute tweaks we should focus on? Samantha was already rifling through designs on the screen. We need to optimize the braking system. If we can improve control, it'll make our presentation far more impressive. Timmy nodded enthusiastically. And the armrests? They need to be adjustable for different body types. This will make the prototype more accessible. Jake watched as they dove into their tasks, their excitement contagious. He tightened screws, making sure everything was secure while his mind raced ahead. What if they pulled this off? What if the prototype didn't just work, but exceeded expectations? As the hours passed, their laughter melded with occasional arguments over the best design elements. Each conflict brought them closer together, a rhythm born from a shared dream dancing in the air. Suddenly, Samantha gasped. Look! She pointed to the screen, where the latest simulation showed a smooth operation of the prototype. It works, it really works. Jake's pulse quickened. A surge of hope washed over him. They were on the brink of something monumental. But with excitement came the familiar weight of the looming deadline. We still have the showcase tomorrow. We can't slack off now, he reminded them gently. They pushed on, fueled by a mix of adrenaline and ambition. As daylight waned, the prototype gleamed under the workshop's lights, a testament to their hard work and a promise of what might be. But with every tick of the clock, doubt crept in. What if the CEO's unyielding skepticism overshadowed their progress? What if one mistake led to their failure? Samantha's earlier fiery passion flickered in Jake's mind, infusing him with a sense of urgency. Just as they finished their final adjustments, a sudden knock boomed on the door. The CEO. Jake's heart dropped. He stole a glance at Samantha and Timmy. Their wide eyes mirrored his fear. With a shaky breath, he opened the door. The CEO stood there, arms crossed, eyeing the prototype like it might bite. Let us see what you've got, he said curtly. Jake stepped aside, letting the CEO enter. The atmosphere thickened as they moved toward the prototype. We've made some improvements, Jake said, trying to sound confident. He was met with silence, which felt like nails on a chalkboard. Samantha stepped forward, her voice steady. We believe this can help people who need it. Watch this. She activated the controls while Jake watched anxiously, his heart pounding in his chest. The prototype whirred to life, moving smoothly across the floor. It didn't just function, it thrived. They watched the CEO's expression change, the tightness around his mouth softening just a fraction. As it glided effortlessly, a flicker of something shifted in his eyes, a hint of acknowledgement. But before Jake could celebrate, the CEO's brow creased again. It's impressive, but potential is not success. Prototypes fail every day. You'll need to show actual results at the showcase. The words pierced Jake like arrows. "But we can do this," Jake insisted, though doubt gnawed at him. The CEO looked away, deep in thought. "Prove it to me. Prove to me that you can make this real, or risk losing everything." The door clicked shut behind him, leaving an echo of finality in its wake. Jake stood left with uncertainty swirling around him. They had turned a corner, but could they keep moving forward? The past few days had built them into something stronger, but tomorrow would reveal the truth. Would their hard work and courage propel them to success, or would they remain shackled by fear and expectation? Only time would tell. Jake turned back to the workshop, his heart heavy with the weight of the CEO's words. He could feel the tension in the air, and the fleeting spark of hope from moments ago began to fade. Timmy and Samantha stood silently, their expressions reflecting a mixture of determination and doubt. "Hey," Jake said, forcing a smile. "Let us not let his pressure get to us. Think about how far we've come. We're in this together, right?" Samantha took a deep breath, her eyes still flickering with fire. "Absolutely. We didn't come this far to let fear win. Let us do one last round of checks before we call it a night." Jake nodded, grateful for her resilience. Together, they began to methodically evaluate every aspect of the prototype. Samantha focused on the circuitry, while Timmy made adjustments to the armrests. Jake moved around, tightening screws and testing connections, silently pleading with the universe for just one more miracle day as the clock crept past midnight. Exhaustion hung in the air like a thick fog. Moments of silence punctuated by the clinking of tools filled the workshop. Every creak of the floorboards seemed to echo their unspoken fears. But in those quiet moments, Jake could sense something shifting. Their panic was morphing into a collective resolve. Later, they huddled around the prototype, its sleek shape gleaming under the bright lights. "Okay, let us do a final run-through," Jake suggested, masking his anxiety. They had rehearsed this many times, but with the stakes now higher than ever, the pressure felt inescapable. Samantha hit the power button and took a step back. The prototype sprang to life, moving smoothly in the confined space. A rush of warmth flooded Jake's chest as he watched it execute maneuvers flawlessly, just like they had envisioned. But then, without warning, the prototype jolted. "Not now," Jake exclaimed, his heart pounding. Samantha quickly dashed to the control panel. "I can fix this." Her fingers danced over the buttons, but the prototype hesitated. Time seemed to stretch as it stuttered to a halt, leaving Jake's breath caught in his throat. They exchanged worried glances, fear creeping back. Timmy's voice broke the tension. "What if we tweak the braking system one more time? That's what we highlighted earlier." "Do it," Jake urged, but helplessness flooded him as he watched. "Would it be too late?" Samantha nodded, her eyes narrowing in concentration. "I got this." As they worked feverishly, Jake couldn't shake the image of the CEO's skeptical gaze. Would they really prove him wrong? The memory of his daughter's sweet smile flashed in his mind, a reminder of why all of this mattered. "Okay, ready," Samantha finally called. She pressed the button again, and this time the prototype hummed confidently. It glided seamlessly across the floor, executing a perfect stop. Jake's heart soared. Yes, we did it." He jumped in excitement, and Timmy hooped, throwing his arms around Jake. But just as the adrenaline peaked, the door swung open, and the CEO stepped back in, his expression unreadable. "Impressive," he said, surprising them. "But I need to know you're ready for this. Can you handle pressure?" Quietly, Jake stepped forward, his heart racing. "We can. We will. This isn't just about a project anymore. It means something." The CEO's gaze held his for a long moment, and for a brief instant, Jake thought he saw a hint of respect there. But before he could dwell on it, the CEO continued. "Then show me results tomorrow. I'll be watching." The door closed again, leaving silence in its wake. "What do we do now?" Timmy asked, his voice steady but edged with uncertainty. "We stick together," Jake said, fueled by a new surge of determination. "We've come too far to back down now. Tomorrow is our shot. We will rise to the occasion, no matter what." Hope coursed through them as night turned into dawn, and as they all looked at the prototype glistening in the early light, something clicked within Jake. But deep down, a gnawing worry lingered. Would their effort be enough? Morning would bring more than just light. It would bring their moment of truth. Would it be a breaking point or the beginning of their dreams? Jake felt the sun breaking through the workshop windows, casting warm rays that danced playfully on the prototype. It was a new day, yet the heaviness in his chest remained. Timmy and Samantha had fallen asleep on the makeshift couches they'd pulled together for the night, their faces still reflecting the exhaustion of their previous efforts. He walked over to the prototype, reaching out to run a finger along its sleek edge. It represented everything they'd put their souls into this project, their hopes bound to its success. But now, faced with the pressure of the CEO's expectations, doubt loomed larger than before. But he glanced at his teammates, sleeping peacefully, and took a moment to breathe deeply. This was more than just a job. It was a chance to change lives. Memories of his daughter filled his mind, her laughter echoing through their house. Her innocent curiosity about everything around her. It fueled him even when the road ahead seemed murky. "Okay, let us make this work," he murmured to himself, channeling his determination into a quiet confidence. He nudged Timmy awake, and the young engineer grumbled, rubbing his eyes. "Rise and shine, buddy," Jake said, his smile attempting to inject some positivity into the morning. "Let us go over the final checklist." Timmy bobbed his head, stretching. "You're right. No time to waste." He shook Samantha awake too, who blinked in confusion before the reality of the situation hit her. The three huddled around their notes, refocusing their attention on each detail of the prototype. They discussed every movement, every calculation, every contingency plan. And with each plan formulated, Jake felt the earlier anxiety start to dissolve, replaced with an undercurrent of unity. They had come this far because they truly believed. After hours of preparation, they found themselves gathered in front of the prototype again, ready for the test run. Jake positioned himself at the control panel, and Samantha and Timmy stood prepared to make adjustments. "Here goes nothing," Jake said, hesitating only briefly. He flicked the switch, and the robot sprang to life. It jerked at first, but he steadied it, pushing it through its drills. The momentum built steadily, and as it smoothly executed a series of tasks, Timmy couldn't suppress his cheers. Samantha joined in, her excitement evident. But Jake couldn't shake the feeling that they needed to take it a step further. "Let us push it. Bring it to the limit," he said, adrenaline surging through him. As they pressed on, something unexpected happened. The movements of the prototype began to falter, and a sharp jolt sent Jake's heart racing. Not again. His hand hovered over the control panel, panic crashing against the anticipation of success. But before he could react, Samantha shot forward, a determined fire in her eyes as she fought back the momentary fear. "Work with me, Jake. We can fix this," she called, her voice strong and clear. He breathed in her confidence, joining her at the controls. They worked in tandem, focusing on the mechanics once more. After what felt like an eternity, they turned to Timmy, who nodded enthusiastically. "You two make a great team." With renewed hope, they pressed on. The prototype steadied, its operations fluid. Finally, it performed a flawless demonstration, completing its tasks with precision. Laughs erupted. Victory hung in the air. But just as they celebrated, the door swung open, and the CEO stood there, his arms crossed and a serious expression on his face. "I heard you were working hard," he remarked, narrowing his eyes. "But I'm here for results." Jake felt the rush of emotion collide with apprehension. "We've got them," he answered, bracing himself. "This is the moment." Yet, as the CEO stepped closer, studying the prototype thoughtfully, Jake wondered if their teamwork and resolve would truly impress him. Would it be enough to overcome his skepticism? The anticipation in the room was thick, the air vibrating with tension. In that moment of uncertainty, Jake realized the biggest test was not just about results, it was about proving to himself, to his team, and to the CEO that they were capable of greatness. Together they prepared to present their hard work. The stakes felt higher than ever. Could they hold the faith of the CEO, let alone their own expectations? Tomorrow was still a vital turning point, and Jake's heart raced with hope and unease. Jake's heart hammered in his chest as the CEO continued to eye the prototype with an intensity that felt almost crushing. Each second stretched into an eternity. Timmy's earlier cheers faded into an anxious silence, and the air buzzed with unspoken questions. Would today be a triumph or a disaster? "Let us take it through some more advanced motions," Jake suggested, his voice steady despite the swirling storm inside him. He couldn't shake the thought that their dreams hinged on this moment. He motioned to Samantha and Timmy to join him, and they all adjusted their positions, ready to dive into the next phase of the demonstration. The CEO shifted, his eyebrows knitting together, skepticism written all over his face. "This better not just be a flashy show. I want to see results that matter," he said, his tone clipped. Jake stole a glance at Samantha, whose expression mirrored his own determination. "We're ready to show you how this can change lives," she said, channeling all her enthusiasm into her encouragement. With a deep breath, Jake activated the prototype again. This time, it whirred to life more smoothly, its movements synchronized and confident. He could feel the carpet of tension begin to relieve a bit, but the CEO's critical gaze didn't waver. Jake pushed the machine harder, navigating through the advanced tasks they deprogrammed. Timmy kept track of the readings, calling out figures that confirmed everything was within range. "It's good. We're on track," he exclaimed, eyes sparkling with hope. But in the back of his mind, Jake couldn't escape the mountain of pressure. The prototype needed to do more than simply function. It had to impress. It had to feel revolutionary. Just as the machine was about to execute a particularly complex maneuver, it faltered, each joint hesitating as if caught in a tug-of-war between precision and failure. Jake could almost hear the collective silence from his team, a hum of dread enveloping them. Come on," he whispered urgently, grappling with the control panel. Panic pulsed in his gut. "Focus," Samantha urged, her voice a beacon of clarity amidst the chaos. "We've trained for this, Jake. We can fix it." He nodded, centering his energy. Taking Samantha's advice to heart, he recalibrated their approach with steady fingers, an urgency building with each passing moment. He fought to dispel the despair that threatened to mount under the CEO's watchful scrutiny. The prototype straightened. Finally, it smoothed its movements with a grace that left Jake breathless. It completed the task flawlessly, spinning around to take a final bow, as if it had just performed before a live audience. Applause erupted. Timmy and Samantha's lively spirits burst forth, echoing through the workshop. But the response from the CEO was muted. He remained contemplative, his demeanor unyielding. "I like what I see," he said slowly, "but I need more." Jake blinked, the weight of the CEO's words settling heavily across his shoulders. "More?" he repeated, a flicker of doubt sparking in his mind. "Yes," the CEO replied, stepping forward. "I want to see how this can truly impact the community. A real-life application. What if it could help those struggling with disabilities?" The inquiry hit hard. Jake's thoughts swirled back to his daughter, and he felt a knot in his throat. That's actually a legitimate idea. But even as the possibility bloomed, a new dread filled him. It wasn't just an engineering problem anymore. It would become a mission, an unforeseen challenge that loomed over them. Could they pivot this incredible tech into meaningful support in someone else's life? A slow grin spread across his face as he looked at Samantha and Timmy. "We can do it," he declared, determination rising once more. This could change everything for so many people. As they began to chat about modifications and ideas for application, Jake's heart surged with hope. There was still a long road ahead, but now it felt like they were on the brink of something extraordinary. The stakes had never felt higher, and neither had the promise of what they could build. As the sun set outside, painting the sky in hues of orange and red, Jake realized they were facing a moment that could forever alter the course of their lives. Could they rise to the challenge? Tomorrow held the answer, and with it, the potential for not just a prototype, but a legacy of hope. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows through the workshop windows, Jake felt an unusual sense of excitement bleed into a quiet dread. The vision of transforming their prototype into something meaningful seemed tantalizing yet daunting. How could they even begin to reach those in need? He looked at Samantha and Timmy, each of them a mix of hope and apprehension. "We need a game plan," Jake declared, shaking off the weight. "Let us think about what this can do for real people. It can't just look impressive, it has to have heart." Timmy's eyes darted to the machine. "What about people who lost mobility? We can design features that help them regain independence." His enthusiasm was contagious, igniting a fire in Jake's belly. "Right. And what about integration into homes?" Samantha jumped in, her voice rising with each idea. "We can create apps to assist caregivers, make everything user-friendly." As they brainstormed, Jake's thoughts drifted involuntarily to his own daughter, Lily. She had always been his inspiration, her laughter echoing in the back of his mind. It had been a hard year for them since the accident, but he wanted to change that for so many families. He blinked away the tears that threatened to spill. "We can use this technology to help kids like Lily," Jake said, his voice cracking slightly. "Imagine if we could make daily tasks easier, more enjoyable for both the child and the family." The room fell silent for a moment as the enormity of his statement sank in. A new weight settled on their shoulders. This was more than a business venture. It was a mission. What if Timmy hesitated, his brow furrowing in thought? What if we could create adaptable interfaces? Like, if someone needed assistance getting out of bed or reaching for things, yes. Samantha nodded vigorously. And what about sensors that respond to needs in real time? The prototype could learn and adapt based on its user over time. Jake felt exhilarated. The creative energy flooding the room felt electric. They huddled around the prototype, their laughter echoing in the space, filled with new ideas and enthusiasm. It was amazing how quickly hope returned, rekindling their spirits. But as the night wore on, Jake felt the challenge looming just ahead. It was clear they were ready to push forward, yet every idea sparked a question. How would they convince the CEO that this could be more than just a business proposal, but a lifeline for families in need? The team worked late, lost in discussion, fueled by takeout and caffeine. They envisioned ways to reach out to the community, start conversations with families that could benefit from their work. They even mapped out potential partnerships with rehabilitation centers and support groups. As exhaustion began to creep in, Jake gathered them close. "We need a compelling story for the presentation tomorrow," he stated firmly. "Let us showcase the real-life impact this could have. We can't go in half-heartedly." The air buzzed with anticipation, but as Timmy packed up their notes, Jake's mind raced ahead. Could they really pull this off? Would the CEO see their genuine intent? Just as he was about to close the door, he turned. "Wait, what if we could bring in someone to share their story? Someone with experience that could touch the CEO's heart?" Samantha's eyes lit up. That could change everything. Jake felt a mixture of excitement and fear surge through him. He understood now that opening this door meant they were stepping into uncharted territory. The stakes were higher than ever, and their future could hinge on more than just a presentation. "Let us start making calls tonight," he said, determination building in his voice. "We have to find the right person to share their story." In the silence that followed, each of them felt the weight of the decision. None of them had a clear idea of who they might find and what truths could surface. But in that moment, they also felt something else, a flicker of hope and possibility that ignited in the dark of night, promising change. Outside, the stars began to twinkle, each one a reminder that amidst the chaos, there was still light to guide them forward. As they began making calls, Jake's heart raced with possibility. Who would they connect with? What life-changing journey would their story unveil? The team was ready for anything, unaware that the real challenges were just beginning. Tomorrow promised answers, but it could also bring unforeseen obstacles. Could they handle whatever came their way? The next day came too soon, each member of the team arriving at the workshop with a mix of nerves and excitement swirling in the pit of their stomachs. Jake could feel his heart pounding like a drum, echoing the uncertainty that filled the air. They hadn't slept long, but the adrenaline from their late-night brainstorming session had pushed them through. "First things first," Jake said as he looked at Timmy and Samantha. "Did we get anyone on the line who could share their story?" Timmy checked his notes. "I spoke to a woman named Sarah. She's a physical therapist and has a son with mobility challenges. She's agreed to join us for the presentation if we can get everything set up for a video call." "That's great." Samantha beamed. Her experience could really drive home our message. Jake nodded. "Let us ensure the tech works smoothly. We can't afford any hiccups today." As they prepped the room for the presentation, Jake stood by the prototype, lost in thought. He ran his fingers across the sleek surface, his mind swirling with images of Lily, her radiant smile, the way her giggles filled their home, the joy fading after the accident. He was determined not to let fear dictate their mission. They were here to make a difference, for her and kids like her. Minutes ticked down, each one stretching longer than the last. At last, the clock struck 10, and the CEO walked in, flanked by a couple of other executives. Jake felt the lump rising in his throat. This was at the moment the whole team had prepared for. "Good morning, everyone," the CEO greeted, his tone businesslike but curious. "Good morning." They replied in unison, an excited energy buzzing around them. Jake took a deep breath. "We're really excited to be here today. We're going to share not just a prototype, but a vision that holds potential for families facing challenges every day." He gestured toward Timmy, who quickly launched into the technical specifications of their device, explaining how it could adapt to different needs in real time. He spoke of sensors and interfaces, his enthusiasm infectious. As Timmy wrapped up, Jake sensed the tension building. "And now," he said, "we have a special guest who can share what it's like to live this experience. Please welcome Sarah." He transmitted the call, and Sarah's image flickered onto the screen. She looked warm and approachable, with kind eyes that seemed to carry a world of understanding. As soon as her voice came through, Jake leaned closer, eager to capture every word she said. "Hi, everyone. I'm glad to be here," Sarah began, her sincerity washing over the room. "I'm a physical therapist, but more importantly, I'm a mom. My son, Ethan, has been through challenges that no parent wants to witness." Jake felt a knot tightening in his chest, knowing a portion of Sarah's pain all too well. He listened intently as she shared stories, the simple yet profound daily struggles, how much it meant to him when he could achieve small victories, and the difference assistive technologies could make in their lives. "Ethan often feels isolated, different from other kids. Your technology could be life-changing for families like mine," Sarah said, her voice breaking slightly. Jake shot a glance at Timmy and Samantha, who both had tears glistening in their eyes. The impact of Sarah's words took hold of them, anchoring their purpose deeper than before. They were not just presenting a product, they were standing at the forefront of hope for families who needed it the most. The CEO leaned forward, a flicker of interest in his eyes. "You're suggesting this could truly change lives?" "Exactly," Jake interjected. "This isn't just about selling a device. It's about creating accessible, life-enriching experiences." As Sarah continued, Jake felt their collective passion painting a vivid picture, a tapestry woven from fear, hope, and aspiration. The room hung on her every word, and Jake's heart swelled with both anxiety and determination. Would this be the moment they had hoped for? Just then, Sarah hesitated, a hint of vulnerability crossing her face. "If I could share one more thing," Jake's breath caught. What could she reveal that would shift the tides even further? And as the room held its breath, Sarah's next words were poised to change everything. "I wish I could tell you how hard it is to watch your child struggle for independence, to feel helpless as they want to run but can't. That feeling stays with you, day in and day out," she said, her voice trembling but steady. "But there's also exhilaration when you see them finally conquer a small task that feels monumental. This prototype could be that bridge for so many. A chance for kids to find their footing again." Each word hit Jake like a wave. He could feel the energy shift in the room, the CEO leaning in, something familiar warming in his expression. Sam and Timmy exchanged glances. There was recognition, a deep understanding that lit a fire in their spirits. "That's why we need your support," Jake said, unable to hold back any longer. "Together, we can turn this prototype into a reality. One that doesn't just help individuals, but enriches entire families." For a heartbeat, the room fell silent, tension thick like fog. The CEO straightened, arms uncrossing, his critical gaze softened. "You're passionate," he acknowledged slowly, "but I still need to know, are you certain this can be scaled? That it can truly reach those in need?" "I'm sure of it," Timmy exclaimed, emboldened by Sarah's words. "We're building something that not only works, but that listens, adapts. We have plans to involve families in the design and testing phases. Their feedback will shape improvements. We want to ensure it truly serves their needs." Samantha took a breath, her determination shining through. "This isn't just another gadget, it's a tool for empowerment. We plan to create a community around it, where voices are heard and families feel supported." The CEO looked thoughtfully between the three of them and Sarah on the screen. The air buzzed with anticipation. Jake held his breath, his heart pounding, hoping they had broken through the walls that surrounded him. Finally, the CEO nodded slowly. "I can see your vision, your passion." He paused, weighing his next words, brow crinkled in thought. "You will need backing, and I need assurance that you can execute this flawlessly." "Yes, absolutely," Jake shot back, an unexpected joy bubbling inside him. We have the drive, the passion, and the will to make this happen, no matter the obstacles. A gleam of hope flickered between Timmy and Samantha. With every word, they manifested their desire to create something that mattered. Suddenly, the CEO's serious demeanor softened into something resembling excitement. "All right," he said, his tone more encouraging. "Let us go forward with this, but we start today. If you're committed, I'll present it to the board for funding." "What? Really?" Jake breathed, astonished. "You mean it?" "Of course. But remember, this is just the beginning. Delivering on this promise won't be easy." As the relief washed over him, Jake nodded vigorously. "We won't let you down. Thank you for believing in us." And Sarah, the CEO turned, making sure to lock eyes with her. "Thank you for sharing your story and giving this project the heart it desperately needed." "Thank you for listening." Sarah's voice was soft but charged with emotion. "Together, we can create futures filled with hope." As they sealed the moment with determination, the workshop pulsed with a fresh wave of energy. It wasn't just about the prototype anymore. It was about meaning, purpose, and transformation. After the CEO left, Jake and the kids huddled together, tears glistening in their eyes, but smiles breaking free. They had leaped the largest hurdle they'd faced, and the road ahead shimmered with potential. "Can you believe it?" Timmy laughed, his joy spilling over. "We did it. We believed. Not just us," Samantha chimed in. "We built this. We're family community. Together." But deep down, Jake knew this was merely the beginning. They still had mountains to climb, but now he felt a deep, unwavering faith in what they could achieve together. He looked at Timmy and Samantha, their enthusiasm rippling through the workshop like a warm summer breeze, and felt an overwhelming sense of pride fill his heart. "I believe in this team," he said, voice steady. "Will you? I'll keep pushing. We'll make a difference, not just for ourselves, but for everyone waiting for hope." "Always," Timmy responded, eyes sparkling with unspent possibilities. "Every step of the way," Samantha added, fervent conviction coloring her tone. With laughter filling the workshop and a renewed sense of mission pulsing within them, Jake felt inspired to keep fighting. They wouldn't just build a prototype. They would build a legacy, a path to hope that, together, they could share with others fighting their own battles. The sun blazed through the windows as they got back to work, each movement infused with fresh energy and determination, eager to create a future bursting with potential. Together, they were ready to rise to any challenge, to shape a world where anyone, regardless of their hurdles, could find their way to independence and joy. This was just the beginning of a bigger journey. The future was bright, and the world had no idea what was coming. So don't you dare sit back now. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories shaping lives just like this one. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Let us get this message out there. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending, because your voice matters. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to spread this impact. Let us unite together and show the world what we can achieve. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Now is the time.